Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahla wa sahla, welcome guys. My name is Yaqub Zaman and I want to go through with you guys the Tafaqquh, the deep understanding of the Hanafi school. Now, we did one video before and mashallah, many of you guys responded and wanted me to continue these videos. So I thought to myself, why not continue making these videos? Inshallah, hopefully you guys will benefit from these videos. The aim of these videos is not to go through a fiqh text, right? That I have actually gone through. Mukhtasar al-Quduri, you can find that on my YouTube channel. What I'm going to be doing here is actually explaining the tafaqquh, the fiqh, like the workings, the inner workings of the fuqaha in their minds. So I'll be using usul, I'll be showing you how usul is implemented, and also giving you an understanding to appreciate the differences of opinions when a matter is being discussed. Today, I want to talk about something very important, and that is the importance of the language. Right? So, language plays a very important role, and this is a very big topic. In fact, you can almost say 2/3 of the books of usul are dedicated to language. Right? So, the Hanafis knew from the early days that the language played a very important role, because you have to remember, the Quran was being sent down to the Arabs, to the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and these were individuals who knew the Arabic language. So we do not understand the Arabic language that the Quran was revealed in better than the Sahaba. Okay, so therefore the question would arise is that if the Quran was revealed to them in their language, pretty much you'd expect most of the Quran to be understood by them. Yeah, maybe there are some incidences where you have some Sahaba reading a verse of the Quran and having a bit of confusion, where there was a companion and he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, "O Messenger of Allah, the Quran says that eat and drink when you're fasting at night time. Eat and drink until the white thread becomes visible from the black thread." And I actually took a white thread and a black thread and I placed it next to my pillow, and I wasn't able to tell the difference between them even until the sun rose. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, in that case, your pillow must be as wide as the horizon, because that verse actually is in relation to the horizon, the white thread, the Arabs say the white thread of the break of dawn. So of course there would have been some companions who might have not understood certain words in the Quran, and they would have inquired from the Prophet ﷺ, or they would have inquired from other companions to clarify this, and many of them would even use classical Arabic poetry to understand this. The point I want to make is that the Hanafis understood that language plays a vital role in understanding the Sharia. So you have to have a very solid understanding of the language of the Sahaba in order to understand. So therefore, if the verse "Faghsilu wujuhakum" came to the Sahaba, we would understand the Prophet ﷺ would not explain what exactly washing is. Right? You would believe that the Sahaba understood what washing actually means. So therefore, when they were told wash your faces, it was left to them, just wash your faces. And then when it was said to them wipe your head, they wiped their head, right? And so forth. So these words in this ayah, for example, like fa, faghsilu, fa, this is a word which has a specific meaning. Or ighsilu is a word that has a specific meaning in the Arabic language. Ila has a specific meaning. Wamsahu, specific meaning, and so forth. All these words have specific meanings. What we want to do in fiqh is we want to understand, okay, what's the significance of a specific meaning? So the Hanafis argue that a specific word cannot be explained. If something is specific, we call this khas. If a word is khas, if a word khas basically means that a word that has been coined with a particular thing, and now everyone knows what that thing is. So if I say to you, for example, London, right? London, whether you've been there, whether you haven't been there, you know what London is. So you can say London is a khas word. It's a specific word to a specific thing. And likewise, if I say to you Islam, Islam is a specific word, right? If I say to you the planet Earth, so it's a specific thing, and so forth, right? So all of these words are considered to be khas words, specific words. Therefore, if someone comes along now and says, I'm going to explain to you what London is. In other words, I'm going to give you an explanation of London that you didn't know. They can say, how can you do that? London is London. Or for example, like the dollar bill is the dollar bill. And if someone comes now and says, no, actually London is actually this, comes out with an interpretation of what London is, right? That person, we don't accept their interpretation, because the word is so clear, it does not require interpretation. So this is where the Hanafis then say, well, if faghsilu, it means to wash. then whatever the Arabs understood of washing is sufficient. So they looked in the Arabic language and they found the Arabs understood washing to mean al-isala, to pour, right? So as long as some water, drops of water have poured down the limb and fallen off the limb, that would be sufficient for it to be counted as a wash, right? So this is why, for example, if you were to put your face under a shower, that would be a wash. If you were to take a towel and soak it in water and then squeeze it against your face and it poured down your face, that would be a wash as well. The point is, the wash means to come down, right? So to come down, the idea is as long as this has been achieved. Now, of course, if you want to go tafaqquh in this, you would say, well, what would happen if a person was in space? Apparently in space there's no gravity and therefore water doesn't behave like it is on Earth, right? So that would now obviously require some other element of trying to analyze this matter, right? And maybe we'll leave that for another video where we talk about very hypothetical things of today's time. But فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ, so as long as a person has washed the face, right, then that's considered to be sufficient. And then they go into the idea of what is exactly the face. What is the face? So they argue that, well, from a linguistic point of view, if you said to someone amongst the Arabs that, touch your face, the person would obviously know what it means, touch your face. Or put this cream on your face, right? You'd know where to put that cream on. You wouldn't have to have like an IKEA description of step by step of how to wash your face. So the face, they look at the linguistic, where has this word been extracted from? So they say, this has been extracted from the word muwajaha, to face someone. So now if you look at my face, what can you see? So everything you can see here, this is face. So as long as I've washed everything that's visible. So the Hanafis now, they came out with this definition later on, right? So this was after Abu Hanif and his students. So the early Hanafis did not describe what the face was, right? They just mentioned this part of the body. And the Hanafi said, well, it's from the hairline all the way to the chin, and from the ear, right, soft part of the ear to the other soft part of the ear, earlobe to earlobe. And that's basically what the face is, right? So they are using the language to try and understand how we look at the idea of the face. Now, of course, this I can go very deep into. I don't want to make these videos too long, right? So I just tackle two words over here: فَاغْسِلُوا, and the idea of the face and how the Hanafis actually understand this concept of the face. Now, like I said, the khas word cannot be explained. Hanafis say, if any word, the Arabs knew what the meaning of that word, and the Quran comes with a new meaning to it. So now that new meaning the Quran comes with, we take that. For example, like the meaning of Hajj. Arabs had an understanding of Hajj, but then when Islam came, Islam gave it a new meaning. This goes into the realm of what we call abrogation. So Islam abrogates it cancels out certain meanings of words that were widely understood in the Arabic society, and then it gives it a new meaning. So now we have fasting, Sawm, and Salat, and all these things, they have a new meaning over here, which is given. That's another, inshallah, video that I'm going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about this idea of changing meanings and mujmal as well, mushtarak, etc. But here, we just want to focus on this idea of khas. Now, I'm sure you guys have done khas. Khas actually has many rulings to it. And one of the rulings which we are going to be talking about is the idea that if the Quran is very specific about what washing is, what about, let's say, a hadith mentions that all actions are by intentions. So now, can we take that hadith and then can we use that hadith and say, well, in fact, if we were to translate this word, فَاغْسِلُوا, we would translate it as wash, in brackets, intending, with intention. Now, because we've inserted a word intention, it's like we've changed the meaning of washing now. So the Hanafi say you can't do that. You can't change the meaning at the level of fard and at the level of haram. Right? So if the Quran is very clear that you wash, or the Quran is very clear that pork is haram, right, that's it. You can't add anything extra to it. Right? By adding something extra to it at the level of fard and at the level of haram, the Hanafi say you're attempting to adjust the meaning of that word. So now the question would come, what is considered to be more clear? The Arabic meaning of that word in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, or your interpretation of taking a hadith and then adding it to that word? Does that make sense? So you have, now which one do you take? So some scholars would say we're going to take the hadith and add it to the Quran. And others would say, well, if you do that, then how do you know that your addition of that hadith to this ayah is what the Prophet ﷺ intended? But if you take the language, you know that the Sahaba, whatever they understood, that was exactly what was supposed to be done. Anyway, Tafaqquh is not an easy thing, is it? Right. So let me know in the comments, guys. I will stop it there, inshallah, because it's hitting 10 minutes now. So inshallah, let me know in the comments. Let me know what kind of discussions you want and any questions you have. Maybe I can tackle those questions as well. Some of you guys have been asking if I put the ayats on the screen. So this time, inshallah, I'll put the ayat on the screen. But you guys, let me know. The idea is it would be ideal if we could have a live session, right? So a live session where I'm actually interacting with you guys and then there's element of tafaqquh taking place. But that's not possible at the moment anyway. But if you guys would be interested in something like that, that would be the ideal way, because then we can have an exchange back and forth and it could clarify a lot of things, right? But anyway, let me know what you guys think of this, and hit the subscribe, hit the like button, and leave a comment, guys. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.